The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Training camp is underway. Aaron Rodgers is, of course, there. Hassan Reddick is not. That and much more is what we will be discussing with our Jets insider, Nick Faria, who's going to join the show. Jet fans, hit the like button. Go to jakeasman.com and get your merch right now. And, of course, let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed for a historic season. We bleed Jets green each and every day. This is not the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. Let's go. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. The Jets bandwagon is loaded. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go. Welcome in, everybody. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I say welcome back to all the people who are tuning in for the first time in weeks, maybe months. We have real Jet news to break down. The Jets reported to training camp earlier today. To celebrate that, we opened our merch store, jakeasman.com. Everything in the merch store is available. First come, first serve. If you're on Patreon, use that promo code you receive with your membership to get 15% off. We're also doing a giveaway right now in honor of the merch store launching. If you want any hat for absolutely free, your chance to win is easy. You got 4 shots at it. You follow me on Twitter at Jake Asman or at Jake Asman Show, or on Instagram at Jake Asman and at Jake Asman Show. The more accounts you follow, the more times your name gets entered in a random name selector, and I will send you a DM if you win. You pick out the hat you want. We ship it out to you. It's that easy. Thank you to everyone who has purchased merchandise today and, of course, over the weekend when we opened the store exclusively for Patreon subscribers. Joining us right now to talk all things New York Jets is someone who was at the Jets facility in Florham Park earlier today. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Faria joins us. Nick, welcome back to the show. All feels right in the world when we're doing one of these after a Jets practice, training camp, whatever the case may be.
All feels right with the world. Football is back. It's a great time to be alive. And a lot to talk about. The Jets, they never make our lives easy and quiet, do they?
No, they certainly don't. Now, obviously, the big story was going to be, well, Aaron Rodgers, is he going to show up? As if there was any doubt he was going to show up to training camp. He's only said that the entire time when he's been asked about it. But Hassan Reddick did not show up. You're connected to the Eagles fan base. You followed that story the last couple of years. Your thoughts on Reddick not being there today and where things go from here?
Yeah, so I'll sit here and go from the beginning. He has wanted a deal for the last 2 years. He was unhappy after he put up a career year in 2022, and Philadelphia was unwilling to negotiate with him on a long-term deal after that. So he has been upset for a very, very long time. He sat out minicamp in 2023, obviously sat out here with the Jets in 2020, going into 2024 season. So this has been sort of festering with him for a very, very long time. The issue at hand for a lot of Jet fans and a lot of media pundits is, if the Jets knew that Hassan Reddick wanted a new deal, why were they unwilling and unable to come to an agreement when they made that deal in the first place, when they were starting to have that negotiation with the Philadelphia Eagles back in April to facilitate that trade? It sounds, according to reports from Connor Hughes, that conversation was going on. The Jets offered Reddick a deal that was north of $14 million, which is his current salary right now. But it's interesting, and I want to sort of put a pause with everyone going after Reddick here. The Jets did not specifically say what their offer was. And Hassan Reddick has consistently said he wants to be among the highest paid defensive players in the NFL. And there is good reason for him to chase that money. Only he and Myles Garrett have recorded over 10 sacks in each of the last 4 seasons. TJ Watt didn't do it. Micah Parsons didn't do it. It's just Myles Garrett and Hassan Reddick. So there's precedent here to make Reddick among, and at least consider him among, the best defensive players, particularly edge rushers, in the National Football League. So this is not some out-of-the-blue mindset. He wants to be paid his worth. And I'm always of the opinion players should get their bag as early and often as they can. Anyone who says otherwise is being disingenuous to how the NFL works. The NFL has billions of dollars. These owners have billions of dollars. It does not take much for a player to say, I want to be paid my worth, because that's what everyone should be pushing for. Now, getting that all out of the way, understanding that the Jets should have come to an agreement, and if they were going to trade for Reddick, they should have given him the offer immediately that would have put him at around $24 to $30 million annually per year. Outside of that, Reddick is now using his leverage, and every single day he misses out, he's going to lose a little bit more. It's a $50,000 fine for every single practice that he misses. That is not some chump change. That is significant for him in his current contract. The other thing to remember is he has no guaranteed money on his current deal. So if he were to go into Jets practice and get hurt, God forbid, the Jets could cut him and not owe him a dime. So think about that. In Reddick's perspective, there's reason why he's not practicing right now. But there's a big difference between practicing and doing what players now call a sit-in, where they show up to camp and they don't actually participate in drills. Jordan Love is doing that now with the Green Bay Packers, Tua as well with the Miami Dolphins. So if I'm Reddick, I'm interested to see how long he's willing to hold out away from the Jets facility, because he's going to lose out on $50,000 every single day. And it's not like the Jets are going to come back and say, oh, we'll give this to you. They're going to keep that money because it's within their grounds to do so, just as it is with Reddick to search for a deal that is close to his overall skill set. So right now we're in a game of chicken. We're in a game of chicken between the Jets, who will not negotiate with a player that has not showed up to the team facility, and a player that is severely underpaid, objectively underpaid. He's the 20th highest paid defensive player right now in the National Football League at his position. When you think of the other players above him, it really seems unfair with the current deal that Reddick has, but this is where we're at right now. He wants a deal north of $25 million. The Jets are unwilling to negotiate. And the question is, who blinks first? If Reddick is the one to blink first, that doesn't mean he will practice right away. It just means he shows up to the facility to rebuild those negotiations. So ultimately, it's a big question mark right now, and certainly something people have to watch out for. This is another distraction that the Jets have to deal with in an offseason that they push, that they wanted to have very quiet during this stage. That's not going to happen, though, and you can't really blame one side or the other. This is typical NFL stuff. The Jets are not wrong to not negotiate with Reddick when he's holding out, but Reddick is not wrong to search for that kind of contract and use up all the leverage he has.
Here's the thing, right? You don't typically see this scenario playing out. Not that players don't hold out wanting more money. That happens all the time. You very rarely, I can't think of one example where the team acquired a player and never got a contract done with said player that was seeking a new contract. For example, the Giants, they acquired Brian Burns. Before they finalized the deal, Brian Burns had a new deal done with the Giants. You see this all the time, that the team that acquires the player involved in the contract dispute with their previous team, it's resolved before the deal. We know Joe Douglas and Howie Roseman are close. We know they spoke before this deal was facilitated. I wonder what the real truth is here, because the Jets side of things that they put out there is that Reddick apparently said, yeah, I'll play on my current deal. And then we find out from multiple reports today, the Jets actually did offer Hassan Reddick a raise for this upcoming year. So what's the real story here? What are you hearing in regards to what that Jet offer was and how far apart they maybe are from actually coming to terms on some sort of new deal?
All I'll say is this, and again, it's kind of my original point of, just because the Jets said they offered a particular deal, I'm not questioning that reporting. I've heard the same thing. They offered a deal, Reddick's group declined. But what is a raise according to Reddick? Is it $16 million? Is it around what Bryce Huff got in Philadelphia? Is it $20 million like the deal Grenard got with the Minnesota Vikings? This is where I look and say, okay, let's wait for the specifics, because we don't know what they offered. Because even if they offered $19 million, That's still $8 million less than what Hassan Reddick has been looking for. And we can argue if he's worth $25, $30 million, but that's the going rate for top edge rushers in the National Football League right now, which Reddick has shown to be. So that's where I always say, let's wait on the specific numbers. These negotiations can come really quick. Just because they're far apart now does not mean they'll be far apart once those renegotiations continue. The other piece I'll say here is I'm fully convinced, and from the people that I've talked to, they all agree on the same way. I'm fully convinced the plan for Reddick from the beginning was that agreement, that he was going to play out the final year of his contract with the Jets, that were going to restructure to give him some guarantees as well later on. But things changed at the NFL draft when the Jets traded away John Franklin Myers. We have to remember something. Hassan Reddick was on an Eagles defense that played him close to 80% of the defensive snaps. When he joined the Jets, the expectation was he was going to be their top overall pass rusher, but he was going to play nowhere near 80% of the snaps. We're looking at 60, 65%. That percentage was always going to be much, much lower than he had dealt with in Philadelphia. But when John Franklin Myers got traded, that's a good, 10, 15% of the snaps of an increase that Reddick was eventually going to get. So he looked at what the Jets were doing with JFM and the JFM trade and said, okay, you're looking to give me an expanded role similar to what I had in Philadelphia, whether it be different or not. You're giving me an expanded role. The contract that I have is not good enough for that expanded role. So again, it's all part of the negotiations. If the Jets had John Franklin Myers, I'm fully convinced Reddick would be here without any issue to his contract. But the fact of the matter is the Jets gave Reddick that leverage by saying, hey, we're all in on our current pass rushers. We really need Reddick to work out. And Reddick saying, okay, you want me to work out? Pay me as the top guy that I am.
We're talking with Nick Faria. He covers the Jets for Athlon Sports. He was at the Jet facility today for a report day where a bunch of players spoke. We'll get into that with Nick at some point here. If you have a question for Nick Faria about the Jets or anything NFL related to answer, super chat it in. It will cut the line, and we will make sure we get to your comment or a question. If you're just tuning in, welcome. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and reminder, folks, the merch store launched at midnight earlier today. I guess technically earlier today, last night, however you want to say it. JakeAsman.com to get your merch for only 24 hours. Way less than that now. Midnight tonight, the Bobby Midnight limited release is off the market. It's a limited drop. Bobby Midnight 2024. Get your shirts if you want a Bobby Midnight shirt exclusively from now until midnight. It's available in the merch store. Nick, if you want a Bobby Midnight shirt, I'd be happy to send you one.
I love the design. First off, I love the design. The clothing outlet stuff looks fantastic. You guys did a great job. It looks absolutely incredible. I think there's going to be a lot of people buying that stuff.
Can't wait, man. Can't wait. I'll definitely get you some gear as well. Message me.
Absolutely.
We'll take care of that. Here's the question I have, right? We just saw a deal get done between the Browns and Amari Cooper where they gave him a $5 million raise. They didn't give him an extension. He was looking for that, but they gave him a raise. And the spin was, well, then he got 80 of his $100 million guaranteed on his current deal. Pretty good. At what point can the Jets and Reddick come together? And if Reddick wants $25 million, because that's what Danielle Hunter got, the Jets could say, well, we're not going to do that, but we'll come closer to 20. Is that enough to get it done between a raise, some incentives? Like, what do you think the number is that will get Hassan Reddick into camp? Because Ian Rappaport had a tweet, Nick, where he said, while a long-term deal is seemingly unlikely, a reworked contract for more money this year would likely get Reddick to camp. So that to me is the agent putting it out there. Hey, redo his deal a little bit. He'll show up and play on the final year of his contract.
I still think 25 is probably the number he's looking for. And I think he wants to stay as close to that as possible. So maybe 22 and a half potentially. But again, this is where I say this is a player that is severely underpaid, and he has felt it over the last couple of years. So he feels disrespected in NFL circles a little bit because of the type of skill set he has, because he's played at the highest level. We talk about clutch play. TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, these guys have not played in a conference championship, and Reddick was the reason why Philadelphia won that particular game 2 years ago. So he's someone that is absolutely deserving of this kind of deal. And again, this short, what they call bridge deal is, I think, what's going to end up happening, where they give him extra guarantees this year, extra money this year, allow him to become a free agent next year, but they keep him on and they keep him happy going into the 2024 season. That's probably the most likely thing that's going to happen. The question is going to be the dollar amount. And the one thing I've continuously said, the Jets don't have the cap space for that right now. They're at $6 million in cap space. If you add that to Reddick's current deal, that's at $20 million. And he's not going to play for $20 million, at least not what we're seeing right now. So the Jets are going to have to make some moves. They're going to have to restructure Quinnen Williams' deal. They're going to have to restructure Quincy Williams' contract and see if they can add close to $15 to $20 million in cap space. I wrote an article on Athlon Sports about it yesterday. You guys can check it out. But I went into what can bring Hassan Reddick to the team while allowing themselves to have some cap flexibility going into the trade deadline. And part of that is going to Quincy Williams, going to Quinnen Williams, and even going to DJ Reed and saying, we want Reddick here. We want Reddick here for the long term. Let's see if we can create some more money on your deals and give that ability to Reddick to be able to come here and play for us for the next couple of seasons. So there's going to have to be moves that Joe Douglas has to make before a deal is made, because again, they don't have the resources right now to give Reddick that kind of deal. It's certainly something I've continuously said. If you want a sign that the Reddick deal is close, look for the restructures. If you hear Quinnen Williams redid his deal, Quincy Williams redid his deal, DJ Reed, those kind of players, they all redid their deal. That's when you know the Reddick extension is close. As of right now, you haven't heard anything, and that's pretty much why we're at where we are going into training camp, the first practice, and Hassan Reddick is nowhere to be found. Sorry, Jake, I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. There was like a police siren going by, so I muted my mic during your answer to that question. Here's what I was saying, though. What if the Jets are like, we'll come up to $20 million with incentives, a base salary raise, guarantee your money, etc., and that's it. Take it or leave it. Because, yeah, Reddick could say, I want to play for 25, but guess what? He's fined $50K a day. He'll never make that money up under the new CBA. It's not like the Jets could redo his deal and give him back his fine money. That's gone under the new CBA. Like, at some point, he needs to show up, because if he's not going to get paid by the Jets, he needs to ball out this year so he can get paid by somebody in free agency next year, which will be his last chance at age 30 to probably break the bank.
He has used, and this is why I continue to talk about leverage. He is using up the leverage he has from the John Franklin Myers trade. The Jets gave him some leverage with JFM. Now he's taking it. That leverage is going to run out eventually, and sooner or later, those fines are going to come pretty hefty. I look at a similar situation with Le'Veon Bell and the Pittsburgh Steelers a while back. Jet fans were all familiar with it. He sat out a full season, and he was never the same player again. The Jets still gave him that contract, and it just blew up in their face right away. So if I'm looking at where the Jets are right now specifically, they'll probably offer something around $20 to $22 million and say, Reddick, take it or leave it. Eventually, he's going to have to take it because he's 29 years old. He's not getting any younger, and he needs to produce every single season in order to prove that he's capable and deserving of the kind of money that he has over the last few years. Again, it really just depends what Reddick is comfortable with. I have seen from my experiences talking to people that have covered Hassan Reddick in Philadelphia, it's not that he's selfish. This isn't a selfish thing. He's always been a team player. But he feels so disrespected by the way his contracts have gone. Remember, this is a guy that was drafted in the first round by the Arizona Cardinals and played out of position for the first 3 years of his career. He was finally put in as a pass rusher, and then Arizona said, okay, we're done with you. He goes to Carolina on a prove-it deal. Carolina says, hey, thanks for the 10 sacks. Go away. Philadelphia goes, okay, we'll give you below market value, but still give you sort of the long-term flexibility. He's been disrespected at every single turn, which is why I think he's having sort of some of these issues where if the Jets want to give me $22 million, that's fine. I'm worth over $25 million, and I'm not standing pat for anything less.
At some point, though, $50K a day, that adds up to a lot of money.
It adds up, absolutely. And here's the other thing with that. It adds up, but then the animosity grows. The Jets defense is talented right now. They're going to be fine whether Reddick shows or doesn't show up to training camp. But as the dog days of August continue and Reddick doesn't show up, what happens then? There are some real issues there that Reddick is going to have to solve. And Quinton Williams today spoke about it. He said, listen, we're not worried about Reddick. He's going to be able to come in. We're going to be able to teach him really, really quick. He's a veteran. He's played on multiple defenses. He'll know his role. But even then, the weeks go by, the days go by, that animosity is going to grow. That vitriol is going to grow between both sides. At what point do the Jets say, screw it, hold out as much as you want, you're under contract for this year? It's going to be very interesting to see how this progresses. I still think they're going to come to a deal. This is the worst case scenario where a deal is not made. I feel like with everything going on, the way things look right now, it's going to be really easy once Reddick and the Jets begin negotiating again to get a deal done. It's just a matter of, are the Jets willing to negotiate when he's outside of the building? If not, when is Reddick showing up? That's the big question.
All right. And one thing you need to hit on here, because you're an Eagles fan, you watched every Eagles game, you cover the Jets, so you could be as objective with this question as possible. I took some calls earlier on my first stream today. I saw some dumb comments about this. I'm going to put it up on the screen because I need you to basically explain to people that Hassan Reddick is not good. He is a great edge rusher and will help this team win many games this year, Nick. We'll close out games in the fourth quarter with a big sack, big forced fumble, because I'm already seeing comments like this from Sean. Will McDonald could step up. Let Reddick sit on his ass all year, or Pittsburgh Mike. And I like both these guys. Let Reddick sit out if he wants. Will McDonald will step up. I just want you to explain to people, right? Because we know Bryce Huff was good. Explain to people how much better, that's right, for at least this year, Hassan Reddick is, because he is not good. He is one of the 5 best edge rushers in the league the last 4 years.
I want everyone to just look at Philadelphia's 2022 season. Just look at the games they won. And if you look at their highlights in the fourth quarter, the defense makes 1 or 2 plays to win the game. You tell me which defensive player made that play. You look in the playoff game against the New York Giants. The Eagles went up 7-0. The Giants went right down the field on the opening drive. What player stood up and pressured Daniel Jones for the sack on 3rd and 4th down to turn the ball over and give the Eagles the ball back in what was eventually a blowout? Hassan Reddick. NFC Championship game. Eagles go down the field and score. They're up 7-0. The 49ers go right down the field again. Who's the one that forced the fumble and unfortunately knocked Purdy out of the game, but still the forced fumble gave Philadelphia the ball back to knock out the quarterback and also give the ball back for Philadelphia? It was Hassan Reddick. Time after time. And again, Will McDonald, I think, is going to be a very, very strong defensive player. I think he's going to be a great player in this league. His best, the upside for him is, guess who? Hassan Reddick. You're hoping he becomes Hassan Reddick, but you already have Hassan Reddick on your roster. So, yes, there are Jet fans that are going to be angry with a player sitting out. This is the case for every single team across the board. If a player sits out, the fan base will be angry at the player and not the franchise. But objectively, you cannot call Hassan Reddick a good defensive player. He is a top 5 edge rusher in the game right now. He has numbers that rival T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, and Micah Parsons. He is as disruptive as any of these guys. And I would argue in the case of Parsons, he is a lot more clutch than a lot of these guys. Look at the game against Jacksonville 2 years ago. Philadelphia is in a torrential downpour. They were playing terrible all game, yet they had a lead going into the fourth quarter. Jacksonville is driving for the win. Hassan Reddick forced fumble. They kick a field goal to go up 9. What happens next? Hassan Reddick forced fumble. They win the game. Every game, every impactful game Philadelphia had and won, Hassan Reddick was making the defensive play, not a play, the defensive play to win it. This is not some schlub, some really good defensive player that everyone is trying to overrate. This is an elite pass rusher who is so good at his craft that it's almost embarrassing to assume that he's only being paid $14 million. The Jets have a steal right now with Reddick at $14 million. Him calling up and saying, I want to be paid my worth is not at the fault of him. It's at the fault of 3 years ago, how undervalued he was as a player, because he's always been this kind of guy. It's just that no team wanted to give him that money because no team understood his presence, his importance overall. It's not even close to me. You want Will McDonald to become Hassan Reddick. You already have Hassan Reddick on your roster. You want Bryce Huff to become Hassan Reddick. That's what we're dealing with here. You have an apex predator on your defense that you're unwilling to pay, or whatever the case is. You need to figure it out. And it's not just that Hassan Reddick is selfish. He wants to be paid his worth because he's allowed to be paid his worth. He's a top 5 edge rusher in this game.
Here's the thing, right? You say all that. Now, at about 45 seconds or less, explain why the Eagles ultimately did not pay Reddick based on everything you just said about him as a player.
Okay, Philadelphia had $50 million in cap space. Let's look at what they did this year. They signed Saquon Barkley to a free agent deal. They brought in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They brought in Devin White. They re-signed Landon Dickerson, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith to long-term extensions. They still have $25 million on their salary cap. The reason why Philadelphia did not sign Hassan Reddick has nothing to do with his performance. He was the only one dependable enough down the stretcher when they were having their just horrific collapse at the end of the year. The reason why they got rid of him is because they had to choose between Josh Sweat and Reddick, 2 players that were entering the final year of their contracts. And they chose Sweat, a guy that they had drafted, they had developed for the last 5 years, as opposed to a free agent player. You see this all the time with teams. Teams will value the homegrown talent over the free agent acquisition every single day of the week. For Reddick, he wanted $25-30 million. Philadelphia was saying, listen, we'd love to pay you that, but we have to pay Devontae Smith. We have to pay A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts' contract is still in the rookie phase. We're not even done paying him. We have to retool our secondary. We have to retool our linebacker room. So we'll pay less for Bryce Huff in value instead of paying you over. It's like we're going to replace Hassan Reddick in the aggregate in the hopes that the players we bring in will be even close to what Reddick is. And again, they choose Sweat. He's 27 years old. Hassan Reddick's 29. Philadelphia is going for a Super Bowl, but they have a dominant roster all throughout. The Jets, same thing, but they don't have the kind of veteran pass rusher that the Eagles have had over the last few years. So to me, this is no brainer. They're not paying
Sauce yet. They're not paying Jermaine yet. They're not paying Garrett yet. The Eagles have paid their quarterback, right? The Eagles have paid their receivers.
Philadelphia, everyone is paid, and everyone's locked up until 2029.
That's the difference. That's why the Jets have this window for Hassan Reddick, who's a better player than Bryce Huff for 1 year. If you're going for it, he's better.
And that's the thing. Like Philadelphia, everyone's paid. The Jets, everyone is about to be paid. So when that happens, you either go all in or you sit back in the corner and say, okay, let's prepare. The Jets is saying, listen, it's now or never. We're either going to be fired or we're going in and going to compete for a championship. They chose the latter. They're trying to win a championship. And by bringing in Reddick, this is the goal. Ultimately, again, the money is going to be figured out. He's not going to miss the entire season because it would be so detrimental to his chances throughout the rest of his career. It just wouldn't make fiscal sense for him in his long-term longevity in the NFL. To me, this is going to happen. It's just a matter of when and for how much money.
Hit the like button if you're tuning in. Subscribe to this channel. Trying to get to 40,000 subs by week 1 of the Jet season against the Niners. And I promise you, Jet fans, Hassan Reddick will be out there on Monday Night Football against Brock Purdy and the Niners. All right, before we open it up to some comments and questions, I got a couple follow-ups for Nick just on some takeaways from some of the players who spoke. But ladies and gentlemen, William Sprague is gifted not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 channel memberships. And Nick, when that happens on the show, we like to call it a Sprague spree.
I am the master of the Sprague spree. Take this, Jake, you little bitch.
William, here we go. 4 people getting memberships. Chris Fine, Zachary Berner, Ahil LZ Life, and Joe I. You all are officially channel members. Welcome. Hit the join button to become an Asmaniac. It helps support the show. You get access to bonus content. You get channel emojis. You get a badge next to your name. And it's a great way to support me as I continue to make this YouTube show the full-time gig for the foreseeable future. All right, Nick, let's talk about some comments that were made today from two of the offensive guys. We'll start there. Garrett Wilson spoke. Before that, Tyler Conklin, the Media Good Guy Award winner from last year, was the first to speak here in 2024. Your takeaways from those two guys to start us off.
Well, I think, and I'm actually writing an article about this on Men's Journal right now. The one thing that I found
Men's Journal, by the way, think about that. Men's Journal's covering the Jets. I love it.
We're throwing everything in there. But the one thing I noticed, and I kind of sat back after I was listening to it, everyone talking about Aaron Rodgers, mandatory minicamp missing for Egypt, being a distraction with, if he's going to be a vice president or not. I think there's a gigantic misconception on who Aaron Rodgers is as a person, because everyone that is actually close to him talks about him ravingly. They talk about his leadership. They talk about his overall skill set in football. They talk about his mind. They talk about him being bright. They talk about him being helpful. When you talk to Tyler Conklin, when you talk to Garrett Wilson, they're not talking about, oh, we're upset about him going to Egypt. They're talking about Aaron Rodgers always working to improve his craft, always willing to help out with teams and teammates. And it struck me because I fully believe there is a misconception on who Rodgers is. And I'm actually diving into that today with an article that's going to publish, I would assume, in the next hour. But I think overall the takeaways with Garrett Wilson, with Tyler Conklin, they all know what the expectation is. The expectation is to compete for a Super Bowl. Just making the playoffs is not good enough for this roster right now. The fact that Aaron Rodgers is so well loved in this locker room that players are coming out saying Egypt is not a problem. You guys have to stop worrying about it. It's okay. We're all okay. Everyone's happy with him. It kind of makes me ask, okay, are we just really upset with him over his conspiracy comments and we're using that to attack his football game? Or are we actually arguing that, objectively speaking, he should have been here and there and he's selfish overall? Because there's something missing here. If the players are all in love with him and the players all love who he is as a person, do people outside the organization and outside anyone who's actually had a conversation with Rodgers say otherwise? Who are we to believe? And to me, it always goes back to the people that are actually close to him. And that's what's so interesting to me.
Well,
that relationship with Rodgers is just, it's wild.
Well, I think all those Jet players and coaches who know Aaron Rodgers personally, they're dead wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. And I only get my football information from Colin Cowherd.
Forget about his vaccine and political opinions. Aaron's football IQ isn't very high. Aaron's football IQ isn't very high. Aaron's football IQ isn't very high.
Right. So that's a big win for Cowherd. Suck it, Jets. Also, since I'm wearing the Derek Jeter throwback BP jersey in honor of Derek Jeter owning the Mets more than Steve Cohen does. Sorry, Met fans. I'll be in the building tonight in the Bronx. I'm just busting some balls here. Here's Colin Cowherd talking some baseball with Derek Jeter.
Paul Skeens, Pittsburgh Pirates, dominant guy, overpowering. You faced, obviously, you were in the Nolan Ryan era. But
no.
What, not even an inning?
Slow down. No, I was way after Nolan.
Okay, way after Nolan.
Nolan.
Okay.
Hey, Nick, ask Rodgers when he speaks tomorrow what it was like to play in the same era as Joe Namath. See how he answers that one.
Yeah, no, just going to say, hey, what was playing Steve Atwater like? How was that? How was that? What about Ronnie Lott? Good Lord.
Incredible.
I know how difficult it is for a lot of these show guys to go in and day out, create content and everything else. And you just sort of dive into the mundane and you just say something you don't really believe. But again, Cowherd has said it. You look at Mike Florio, who's a big proponent of this. If people around Rodgers are saying something different, why are we attacking it in a different angle and just reaching for other things? That's just my question. Like, I really think there's a misconception on Rodgers because everyone that is actually close with him says something completely different to people that aren't actually around him.
It's amazing, man. But you alluded to it earlier. Most of it has very little to do with football, unfortunately.
It really does.
It's kind of the world we live in. As far as some of the takeaways today, Salah speaks tomorrow for the first time. They're on the field tomorrow. Your thoughts on anything you heard from the defensive captain of this team, C.J. Mosley? I know Quinnen spoke as well. Just your thoughts on what they said.
Well, they're high on Will McDonald, and to spice some things up before, as we were talking about, but they really like what they've seen from the second-year edge rusher, and that's all great to hear. The one thing you'll look at when you talk about this defense, they kind of tease it in OTAs. They're still in the early processes of showing some unique just sort of looks across the board on the defensive end, trying to confuse people, because we know what the Jets defense is going to do. They're going to rush 4 and only rush 4 and hope that rush gets there. They have elite cornerbacks that are playing man coverage for the most part, and they're just letting everyone play one-on-one, beat your man, and we'll be able to win the game in the end. I think there's going to be more strategic looks, and they're sort of teasing that throughout the offseason. It'll be interesting to see what that means in practice and the preseason and in the regular season as well. But ultimately, when I look at this Jets defense, they know they're elite. They know that they are going to be elite. And they're not really worried about Hassan Reddick either. You look at Quinnen Williams, you looked at C.J. Mosley. Both of them today were like, listen, we're elite right now. Hassan Reddick makes us better. We're going to be excited when he shows up, but this is a contract issue. We're not really going to comment on contract issues. You don't do it as a player because, again, it could be your turn the very next year. And Williams said that as well. He's like, I was in this position last year. I understand the feeling. I understand how they work. I know they will get it ironed out. That was Williams' quote. I know they will get it ironed out. So, again, you listen to the players specifically. I think there's very little to be concerned about Hassan Reddick in terms of being ready for the start of opening day. It's just a matter of when, not if.
No doubt about that. All right, first day of camp as far as on-field practices is tomorrow. What to you is the biggest training camp storyline that you're going to be honing in on, that you're going to be focused on the most for your reporting?
It's going to be the offensive line. Outside of Reddick, outside of Rodgers, it has to be the offensive line. Last season, 2023, the starting offensive line did not get a rep together until the final week leading up to the regular season. So that's a massive problem, and it showed to be a massive problem throughout the season. This year, it's looked like everyone is going to be ready and healthy enough to practice on the field. Only Mike Williams is on the PUP list. Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, Elijah Vera Tucker, these guys are expected to be ready right away. I am going to be very interested to see how good this offensive line looks right away and if they can stay healthy for the full month. We know Tyron Smith is going to miss a couple practices here and there in part of his rep-up program. They're not going to throw him out there every single day. It would be a big mistake if they did. But we know that he's going to be there for the majority of these practices. And making sure this group is a cohesive unit going into week 1 is going to change the foundation of what we expect from this Jets offense. Because last year, Aaron Rodgers in practice could not throw from the pocket. It was that bad. This year, the expectation is this group should be a lot better and be competing with the defense a lot more than they did in the year prior.
I think that's spot on. How about the receiver room, Nick? I want your thoughts on what that looks like. Mike Williams, beginning of the year, on the PUP list. No surprise. That means he's probably not going to practice if he's truly on that Breece Hall timeline they've alluded to, mid-August. So Who steps up next to Garrett Wilson, who's obviously a superstar for this team?
So, yeah, we know Garrett's going to do his thing. We know he's a number 1 receiver. The only question is he a top 5, top 10 guy? I certainly think he's a top 10 guy. But outside of him, is it going to be Allen Lazard? Is Allen Lazard going to show that he is worthy of the 4-year, $44 million contract that he signed with the Jets last offseason? That's a big question mark. Not only that, but if the Jets were to trade him, and say, going into the future, going into August, they find a trade partner for him. They give up a couple extra picks to a certain team with plenty of cap space, and they say, get him off. They will save close to $9 million in cap space. I don't think there's going to be a team that's going to be willing to take Lazard's full contract, but it's going to be interesting to see. He's got to produce. And I know the Jets believe in him. I know they feel that they have a quality backup on the outside with Lazard. I know they trust Jason Brownlee and Xavier Gibson. But if we're looking at an X factor right now, it has to be Lazard, because Malachi Corley cannot be expected to jump in right away and dominate in this offense. He still has a lot to learn in route concepts and route running and all the specifics going in there. He's going to be an offensive weapon in 2024, not just a sole receiver. That leaves Lazard with a big, big target on his chest. Every rep he is going to take this year in camp is going to be scrutinized. Every ball he drops, every play that he cannot gain separation, he is going to be under the microscope of microscopes from the fan base, the media, and the coaching staff. And listen, he's not a bad guy. Very nice to the media. He's always been very appreciative, very, very, very honest. But ultimately, if I'm looking at this from the perspective of what the Jets should do, if a team is going to call up and trade for Allen Lazard and you give up a couple of picks, sort of circumvent that deal, you need to make sure that he can compete. And you want to make sure that he can compete and be competitive because right now we haven't seen it in so far in his Jets career. He's going to have to turn it on quick or the dogs and the hyenas are going to be coming after him very quick.
Two things. One, if he tries that nonsense with the soccer ball on the practice field at any point this week, I won't be there till Saturday. Just go up to him and kick that ball away from him on behalf of this fan base. All right, that's one. And then two, David with a great question on what you said. Nick, what would be the draft pick sliding scale for Lazard if the Jets have to eat some of his salary?
6th, 7th round pick. Like, we're talking pennies on the dollar right now. He has not been productive. I think something similar to the Zach Wilson trade is probably what we're looking at. And again, it will save the Jets money. It will help them in the long run, particularly if Lazard struggles early on in camp. But it'd be easier if he just shows why the Jets were comfortable making him a $44 million player as opposed to struggling once again and moving on from that. And I do want to say, Jake, you mentioned the ball drill, the soccer ball drill. Yes. That is a footwork drill for receivers. I've seen that with many different teams. Philadelphia actually does that in droves. The problem is the people who do the receiver drills in Philadelphia are AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, the guys that are dependable, the guys that consistently win at the line of scrimmage and catch passes consistently. If I am Allen Lazard this year, I am on the jugs machine, and I'm on the jugs machine every single second that I'm not with the offense in practice. Catching passes, building some camaraderie with Rodgers again, because right now you don't need to worry about footwork. You need to worry about catching the football because that's his biggest problem right now.
Yep. I mean, it's tough to be a wide receiver when you have stone hands. There's no doubt about that. This super chat from the big fella. Calm my guy, big fella, down. He says he's getting Revis vibes from Reddick. Well, first off, Revis held out before the 2010 season. They paid him. He showed up, was first-team All-Pro. Jets went all the way to the championship game for the second year in a row. So if you're getting Revis vibes from Reddick, I truly hope it's the same exact scenario where the Jets are at least playing for a chance to go to the Super Bowl this year.
Reddick is also, so if we're comparing Reddick to Revis, you're talking about a top defensive player in the league. Doesn't that mean he's deserving of a contract that he wants? Isn't that the point of what he's saying? If you're going to compare him to some of these other holdouts where some really good defensive players, Hall of Fame worthy defensive players like Darrelle Revis are holding out for their money that they felt that they were worth, isn't Reddick deserving of that same contract? This is why I push back on people that say Haason Reddick is selfish. He's not selfish. He's just severely underpaid.
Here's the thing, too. Like, at the end of the day, if you're the Jets, like, you need this guy, right? Like, if you're trying to win it all, this guy is going to take your defense to maybe another level this year. So you figure it out.
15 sacks.
Yeah.
At his best, it's a 15-sack season. When's the last time an edge rusher has had 15 sacks in Jets history?
Yeah, I mean, probably John Abraham. The last time.
Seriously, if that's the comparison, you're looking at a John Abraham player on a defense with Darrelle Revis and all-pro linebackers at your disposal. Like, this isn't Jonathan Vilma. This is players that are better than Jonathan Vilma. Like, this defense is really, really good. And it's even better if you have an all-pro like Haason Reddick at your disposal.
I'll say this. All right, I have the solution. Joe Douglas and Haason Reddick, I don't know the name of his agent, I forget. They need to drive up to Roscoe, New York, go to the Roscoe Diner, sit down, hammer out a new deal. It worked for Mike Tannenbaum and Darrelle Revis' agents in 2010. You want to send the Hard Knocks crew up there for old time's sake. I'm sure they'd be happy to film it. Let's go. Let's get this deal done. Get Reddick into camp, and let's go win the Super Bowl.
With Reddick on the field, is this Jets team not a top 5 talented roster in the NFL right now?
I mean, I said it on the radio this morning on ESPN New York. Remove the word Jets from the helmet and just look at the roster. Tell me they're not one of the better teams in the NFL.
I think they have more talent than San Francisco. I actually think they have more overall talent than the San Francisco 49ers, and most people are picking the 49ers to be the top team in the NFC again. The 49ers offensive line is not as talented as New York's. Their defensive line has taken some hits, particularly on the interior. Their cornerback room is not as elite as it once was. So if I'm looking at this from just a pure roster breakdown, they're better than 27 other teams in the NFL, 28 other teams. Like, maybe I don't think they're better than Kansas City because of the quarterback, but you can compare that roster to Kansas City's absolutely and come away with some pretty solid matchup nightmares for that team.
All right, Nick, I'll let you go after this question. Salah speaks tomorrow. Who on the beat is getting the first question to him?
Probably Connor Hughes.
Really?
It's either that or Antoine Staley, because Antoine, he's gone first a lot of times, particularly with the players. I think he likes to have rapport of kicking off saying, hey, so what do you think? First day, everyone okay?
Yeah.
Trying to set the mood. Antoine's just fantastic. He tries to get everyone happy, get everyone settled, and then, again, the hyenas come out and say, okay, what about this? What about this? What about this? So it's either Hughes or it's going to be Staley. That's my guess.
Interesting. I would have said Samini. That's a good guess. That's a good insight.
No, I think Samini waits a couple minutes before he dives in.
Yep. And then he's going to say, hey, coach, if you don't win, you're getting fired, right? I'm just kidding. I like Rich. Rich is a good guy. That's just funny. Nick, thanks for spending some time, man. I know you got to go right, so I'll let you run. Thanks so much for coming on, recapping the day, and we'll be hearing from you a lot this summer, so can't wait to make this a regular thing again.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Jake.
Nick Faria checking in. Subscribe to his YouTube channel as well. Nick doing a great job putting out content on his channel in addition to all his written work with Athlon and Men's Journal. Shout out to Nick for joining our show. Jet fans, welcome back to the show. If you've been away, we have 2 events I want to inform you all about. One is a training camp meetup the night of August 7th. That's a Wednesday in East Hanover. Don Jose Mexican restaurant. That's where we're going to be. It is a Jet fan, family-owned business. Shout out to Jose for hosting all of us that evening. Great Jet menu. All right. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have some giveaways. We're going to have some drink specials. It's BYOB, but we're bringing cases of beer for everyone to enjoy. If you want to go, spots are limited. You have to RSVP with the link in the description. Speaking of big events, this one is huge. It's our first ever As Maniac watch party. T-Squared Social in Midtown Manhattan, Saturday, August 17th. Free admission, but you have to RSVP. And while you're there, you're going to enjoy drink specials. You're going to enjoy food specials. There's a golf simulator. There's a bowling alley. There's darts. There's pool. There's ping pong. They have it all. And we're going to watch football. I don't care if it's preseason. Jets, Panthers that night. T-Squared Social, right in Midtown. You can take the train in from Westchester, Connecticut, Long Island, Jersey. It's right next to Grand Central, right next to Bryant Park, right next to Alden Shoe Store. Come join us that night for our first ever As Maniac watch party. Shout out to all the Jet fans who have already RSVP'd. That night is going to be absolutely tremendous. Here's what we're going to do. Load up the Gus Buster Umbrella hotline. When we come back, we are going to talk all things New York Jets. More on Reddick. I'll get to more of your super chats as well. But if you missed it earlier, we debuted a brand new As Maniac song on the show. Our first ever country song dropped on the show earlier today. This is by Harvey Bouchard. The song is called Jet Green. Enjoy it.
Flying through the sky at supersonic speed. Jets fans have a special place to go. I found this place by accident, scrolling on the web. There's nothing Nothing's gonna stop us. Go ahead, 'cause you know we beat Jet Green. Go ahead and cut us. Nothing's gonna stop us. Go ahead, 'cause you know we beat Jet Green.
Yeah, baby. Absolutely tremendous. Harvey Bouchard with the music, the vocals, as good as it gets, folks. We have some of the most talented listeners out there in all of sports. Incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, let's open up the Gusbuster hotline right now. If you have a super chat, that will cut the line. As always, appreciate everyone tuning in. This super chat is from Adam Is Too Cool. He's been an Asmaniac for, 4 full months. Adam, it feels like yesterday when you just became a member, and now here we are 4 months later. They grew up so fast. Hold tight on Reddick. We don't need him more than he needs us. Believe that. He's the one not being nice to JD. JD has been quite good to players. This is business, man. They'll work it out. I'm not concerned yet. I'm just not. Ladies and gentlemen, Gusbuster Hotline is open. First up today is someone who's gifted 4 memberships during this one show alone. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in a while, the great William Sprague is on the line. What's up, William?
Good afternoon, Jake. How are you?
What's up, William? How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Good afternoon, Jet fans. I hope we're all psyched up. Day one of the season. Let's go. Let's go, Jets. But yeah, I'm doing well. You know, now that my wife's home, I'm doing well, and I thank all of you guys for all your prayers. It's really meant a lot to both me and her. So thank you guys very, very much.
Well, thank you for providing us an update on how she's doing, man. We're all thinking about both of you guys. Can't wait to hopefully see you guys at a game this year.
Yeah, actually, I signed up for August 7th, so I'll see you on August 7th, Jake. I can't wait to meet you.
Great, that's gonna be awesome. Yeah, we'll be. It's a great spot. It's gonna be, the food's excellent, and we're gonna have a great time that night.
Yeah, I can't wait, and you know, this is obviously one of my favorite times of the year. I think I told you in a previous conversation that my dad took me to the Super Bowl in Miami, the first Super Bowl the Jets were in, and I think this is their year. I think this is their year. First time in 56 years it'll be. I think they're gonna do it, Jake. I really do.
William,
it's been a pleasure, though. It's been an absolute. It's been an absolute pleasure. You have grown and grown incredibly. Just over the last year, I cannot believe the growth, and I'm so proud of you. And if there's anything I can do, just let me know. You're the best.
Likewise with you, William. Can't wait to meet you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for all the channel memberships. We love having you back in the mix.
Thank you so much. Take care of yourself, Jake.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great William Sprague. Very happy to hear about his wife doing much better. For those who watched the show in the offseason, we've been following that, so that's great. Great news. Can't wait to meet William in person. That's awesome. Spots are limited for this one. All right, we only had 50 total spots. So if you want to go to the Jersey meetup, so many of you are saying, Jersey. Okay, well, here you go. Jersey meetup. Let's go. It's done. RSVP, the link for that is in the description. Reminder, Bobby Midnight shirt, only available till midnight tonight. So if you want it, get to jakeasman.com and purchase it. William's been gifting a membership every time we sell a shirt. Incredible. More calls right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy called in earlier, but he was a surprise call in. We didn't know he was there. Ladies and gentlemen, the big fella. Hello, big fella.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, man. Got to say thanks again for Chef Kevin. Great time out there with him, man. It's great to talk to him and everything. He's a really good dude. And if you have an opportunity to go out to Cloverleaf, check it out. It's really good stuff right there.
Amen, man. We'll be there this summer at some point for sure.
That's awesome. Listen, I don't, Nick Faria, he said that Haason Reddick feels disrespected and stuff like that. I think that's bullshit. I'm sorry. He's making money. He wants to make more money. That's not disrespect. Okay. To me, I don't know. Something just doesn't feel right about this thing. And with Revis and him being the comparing him to Revis, I hope he turns out what you said. I hope I hope he plays like Revis did when he came back and everything. And I hope they have that. I hope they have that film where Revis comes in, everybody's like praising him and stuff like that, just like with Reddick. But I mean, I don't know. I just get a bad vibe from it, and I hope they come to an agreement soon. But I think that whole disrespect argument's BS.
I think it's disrespect for how good he's been at his position and the salary he's paying. He's going to be paid this year, right? He's the 20th highest paid edge in football this year. There's not 19 guys better than Haason Reddick at rushing the quarterback.
That's true. But I mean, I'd like to know why he left Carolina if he did so good there,
Well, if you remember his first couple of years in the league in Arizona, he wasn't used properly.
Right. No, that's true.
So he signed a below market deal because he only had 1 year of like good production. You weren't sure what he was, and it ended up being one of the best contracts in the league for Philadelphia. It's honestly, what's happening now? Quincy Williams is a great example. Look at his career, right?
That's true.
He's gotten better and better. He signed a deal to get himself some security, and then he got even better than anyone imagined. He was first team All-Pro last year. So Quincy Williams, a couple of years from now, is on the Haason Reddick path of being underpaid and wanting more money.
Now
That's the comp.
You're right about that. I don't know. I just wish they would have got it done before, camp and everything. But, I guess we have experience going through this with Revis. I guess we got to deal with this stuff again, my man.
Well, maybe we'll get Revis back on the show to talk about his holdout. Sure, he'd love that.
Exactly. Give us a background on it, Revis.
Yeah,
come on.
He really loved talking about that the last time I tried to get him to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, before you go, big fella, I respect the tank today. Are you paying, homage to Charles Gorman?
No, well, this isn't really a tank. It's sort of a tank.
Cut the sleeves off. Yeah.
Sleeves off. Yeah. But it is an extra large, man. So
XL, man.
There you go.
Well, big fella, great call. Not once, but twice today. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Love it. Thanks, big fella. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is someone who's always in uniform. Ladies and gentlemen, Charles Eugene M. Gorman. Hello, Charles.
It's not Eugene, it's Anthony, but whatever. How you doing, Jake?
Charles, I was doing okay, and then you calling in has lifted my spirits.
Yeah, this doesn't surprise me that Hassan Reddick is holding out. I mean, Revis used to do this stuff a lot in his prime, but I think Joe Douglas will work out a deal with Hassan Reddick. I think Hassan Reddick's a good enough player. I don't look. You said you don't think there are 19 edge rushers better than Hassan Reddick?
You don't agree?
I mean, Nick Bosa's pretty good.
Come up with 19 pass rushers you think are better than Hassan Reddick.
I'm not saying they're better, but they're pretty damn good.
There are a lot of guys Hassan Reddick is much better than that are being paid more than he is.
Like Josh Allen of the Jaguars?
He'd be one of them.
I'm not saying that. I mean, Hassan Reddick may be more talented than them.
One of them is Bryce Huff, just so you know.
Bryce Huff was good, but obviously, Hassan Reddick only got, 11 sacks last year?
Only? What do you mean only?
In terms of pass rushing, sacking the quarterback, he only had 11 sacks last year.
I think so, but look at quarterback hits, look at pass rush win rate. It's more than just sack totals, which he does.
I know that, but in terms of Josh Allen had a good year sacking the quarterback and hitting quarterbacks and stuff.
Let's go back 2 years when the Eagles were playing with more leads in games and they weren't collapsing in the second half. Hassan Reddick had 16
That's
sacks.
because they had a better defensive coordinator. The one I think their interim defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia, who I think is a scrub, and Bill Belichick wanted.
Do the Jets have a good defensive coordinator? They might have one of the best in the league.
Jeff Ulbrich is leaps and bounds better than Matt Patricia's defensive coordinator.
Correct. So I would say Hassan Reddick, with this defense, this coaching, he's going to be pretty good.
That's what I'm not trying to stir a bad conversation, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of good pass rushers in this league. Do I think Hassan Reddick is better than most of them? Absolutely. But there's a lot of really good edge rushers. Brian Burns of the Giants is really good. He's been a really solid pass rusher for a very long time. I mean, didn't Hassan Reddick play alongside with him in Carolina in 2021?
Yes, I think.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying that Hassan Reddick isn't a good player. He's a very good football player.
Okay, well, let's go through the list together then, all right? Nick Bosa is the highest paid defensive end in football, $34 million.
Well, Hassan Reddick's an outside linebacker.
He's an edge rusher. You can call it whatever you want. He's going to rush the quarterback. It's a scheme where he's going to line up on the edge and rush the quarterback like Bryce
Nick
Huff did.
Bosa is really damn good. I mean, I'm surprised
Of course he is. Ignore Nick Bosa. He is in his own category. Josh Allen is number 2 on this list.
Josh Allen is, well, I forgot what the name he changed to, but
let's keep
of
going.
The Jaguars.
I can't. God, I can't do this. Forget it, Charles. Just know that when I get
What
down
did I
to
do
some
wrong?
I'm just telling you, when I get down to some names on this list, Reddick's better than Danielle Hunter, who's now making $24.5 million.
Danielle Hunter had a great year for him last year too.
Okay, Hassan Reddick also had a great year.
I'm not denying that, but
Montez
Danielle
Sweat
Hunter
is
is a
making more
future Hall
money.
of Famer, in my opinion.
Montez Sweat and Rashawn Gary are making more than Hassan Reddick.
Oh, I think Hassan Reddick's better than both of those guys, and both of those guys you just mentioned are really good.
Bradley Chubb is making $22 million this year.
I'd say Hassan Reddick's better than Bradley Chubb. I think
would
he's
agree.
been more consistent than Bradley Chubb.
So I don't need to do this all day, but I think the point I'm trying to make to you is there's not 19 guys that are better than Hassan Reddick. That's why he wants more money.
I agree. What I'm trying to make my point is, Jake, is that there's a lot of good edge rushers in this league. Do I think all 19 of them are better than Hassan Reddick? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I'm trying to make my point is that what are you trying to make fun of me now?
What are you talking about?
You keep pressing some button in the background to make me go
That was Gator, to be fair.
But the point that I'm trying to make is that Hassan Reddick, I understand he wants big money. He deserves the money. He very much deserves the money, but will
you show him the money? All right. Will
what
you show up?
Gary McGuire? Show me the money.
Show him the money, all right? Stack some hundreds, Charles. Give it to him. All right? Give me one of these.
All I'm going to say is I think Hassan Reddick will get a good contract, a very good contract. I think he's better than a lot of these guys that you just mentioned, but there's some of them that are in a league of their own, like the Danielle Hunters, who has been in the league since 2015, who, in my opinion, is a future Hall of Famer. Josh Allen of the Jaguars.
Did you just say Danielle Hunter is a future Hall of Famer?
Yeah, he's got 87.5 career sacks.
I don't know. He's a very good player. Hall of Famer, though, I don't know.
I think he's a future Hall of Famer. That's just my opinion. He's been a dominant pass rusher. He's been great against the run.
He never made an All-Pro team. How can you be a Hall of Famer if you've never been on an All-Pro team?
Let me go check. I think he has been an All-Pro team. Let me go check.
He's been a 4-time Pro Bowler, according to his Pro Football Reference.
He's never been an All-Pro. I find that hard. Not saying you're lying, Jake, but to me, for a guy like him that's been a damn good football player his entire freaking career, he's never made an All-Pro.
Now, Charles, let me ask you something.
All-Pro in 2018.
Where are you seeing that? Hold on.
He was second-team All-Pro in 2018.
Yeah, but the Hall of Fame looks at first-team All-Pro. That's how you get it on your
Oh,
thing.
son of a bitch.
That's what they judge it on. I'm just telling you.
Oh, but
I don't need to get into a Danielle Hunter argument with you. This is not what I want to be doing right now.
No, I'm just saying, I based on production, I could care less about the Pro Bowl. But the fact that he was second-team All-Pro, not first-team All-Pro, well, I think Danielle Hunter's a really good football player. You can't argue with me about that.
No, I think he is as well. Now, let me ask you something. What are your thoughts on the fact that the Charles Gorman-inspired tank top in my merch store has been one of the biggest sellers so far?
It's fine. I'm not surprised.
Does it excite you?
It doesn't excite me, nor does it anger me.
Does it get you going? You know, pumps you up?
I'm just neutral about it. I mean, Jake, if you want to do something inspired by me, that's fine, but...
You're an inspiration, Charles.
I appreciate that. Anyway, just want to give you a huge shout out. I think Hassan Reddick will get his contract, and I definitely do think he's a lot better than a good majority of those guys we just talked about.
I feel like we found some common ground then, Charles.
Well, I knew we were going to have some common ground eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good day, Jake.
Charles?
Yeah?
Thanks for the time.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Charles Gorman. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to the show, welcome. If you're back after a while, welcome back. Bilal writes in, love the stash, Jake. Thank you, Bilal. It's about to be a beard as the beard grows back. Ladies and gentlemen, Devin, a.k.a. DNY for life, is dropping 1 channel membership. Ladies and gentlemen, if you hear your name called, you are an Asmaniac. Jets-Girl has received a channel membership, but that's not all, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a 5 spot from, JR Jet has gifted 5 channel memberships. They went to Iceman, Rock Diligent, Big T Charlie, Gonzo Badger, Richard Gonzalez. You guys are all officially channel members. One more membership explosion. Devin, another 1 spot.
Free stuff.
If you hear your name called, you are once again an Asmaniac. Tommy Clifford. Tommy bought merch today. Shout out to you, Tommy. Appreciate your support there. Thanks to Devin for gifting you your channel membership. All right, let's keep it rolling here with some calls before we wrap. I'm going to the Subway Series tonight, so this show started a little earlier than normal, and we had Nick Faria on for the first 45 minutes, who was at Jet Camp today. So if you want an insider report on Reddick and everything else, rewind if you're tuning in late. More calls. JD Jets up next. What's up, JD?
Hey, Dick. How's it going, man?
What's up?
A couple points. I just wanted to say, like, with the Reddick thing, I have a hard time getting upset about it until, like, it's really possible he's going to miss games. I just don't see it for, like, a almost 30 edge rusher. Like, this is, like, the only way guys can express frustration nowadays, because missing games is just, like, not an option. So, like, I think they're going to figure something out. It's just going to come, and it's just going to be annoying, like everything with the Jets, where they make it a bigger story than it has to be.
Yeah, to be fair to the Jets on this one, like, this is pretty normal. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
This happens. Like, CeeDee Lamb is dealing with it. I mean, Jordan Love is not playing right now. He's not practicing till he gets a deal. Tua, the same thing. Like, this happens, man. And we as Jet fans, we know this. We went through it with Darrelle Revis, and, like, that ended up just fine at the end of the day. You know, they got it done, and he was first team All-Pro, and they went to the AFC title game in 2010.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's typical media. Like, Rodgers misses 2 padless practices, and we have a holdout among the other 10 elite players who are holding out for a contract. But for us, it's complete dysfunction. And I get it. You know, we haven't won in forever. But, like, I feel for my Jets fans who take all these things so, like, to heart and get upset. It's like, dude, they're going to do this about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, other point I just wanted to say, like, super excited to see the O-line this year. I really want to see the battles between the O-line and the D-line. Like, last year felt just shaky the whole way coming in, like hoping the ghost of Dwayne Brown would save our season, and we saw how it played out. So, like, I don't know. I'm feeling a lot more hopeful this year. That's pretty much it, man. Go Jets.
JD, where have you been, man? Great call. We need
Dude,
more
it's
calls.
been a while.
Like you.
I've been busy. I'm planning for a wedding, so.
When are you getting married?
September 14th. So
Nice.
I really hope we win week 1, or I'm going to have to try and change my face on the big day.
Would you let Bobby Midnight officiate your wedding?
Bobby can do whatever he wants, man. That's a legend.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is Bobby Midnight. Bobby, your thoughts on officiating JD's wedding?
Where do you live?
I'm a Baltimore guy, actually.
Baltimore. Yeah. Do you know Germantown?
I do.
Do you know College Park?
Oh, yeah. I went to Maryland.
Yeah, I went down there one time. Right, one time we had, like, what?
Sounds good, man.
I'll put you two in touch. JD, thank you very much, man. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, JD checking in. He's getting married, so we'll give him a pass. Excellent performance on the phone line there from JD. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Rich knows to do it. Thank you, Rich. Good to have everyone back. The chat's exploding. We had over 300 viewers on the first stream today. I mean, it feels normal again. Wild. Also, Bobby, lower your bike volume. You came in really hot there, apparently. That's why I had to get rid of it so quick. Could be an issue on my end. I'm dealing with some mic stuff. I think it's all right. It's passable. We'll get back to what it should be. Gifted membership. JR Jet dropping a 1 spot for the people. Here we go. Sean Johnson. Thank JR Jet. You are now a channel member. Shout out to JR Jet. He bought some merch earlier today. Could not have been nicer. Thank you, JR Jet. Appreciate your support. Also, apparently Bobby was fine. I don't know. People were saying that Jay was saying my audio was way less than Bobby's. Jay, you're confusing me with this. All right? Let me be, man. More calls right now. Kyle Clifton's up next. What's up, Kyle?
Dana was saying that JD stole my glasses. I like to think my look is one of one, but that's all right.
You look great, Kyle.
Thank you, man.
How's the coffee mug?
Fantastic. I'm doing
All right.
very, very well with it. I'm waiting for my other stuff. It's shipping under a different label. So.
Love it.
Listen, I'm just hoping that Reddick is being realistic about what he's going to get, right? Because we know it can't be a multi-year deal, and we know it can't be $25 to $28 million. No one will disagree that he is underpaid as the 19th highest paid edge, but it's not the late 20s where he's going to be able to get to. Just realistically, in late August, there's no team that's going to. Otherwise, another team would have come in and paid more than a 2026 third-round pick to acquire this guy, right?
You're not going to get anything from him at this point. You know,
Right.
like nothing of significance. I mean, look what the Jets did to acquire him. They gave away a third-round pick 3 years from now.
They paid nothing because the Eagles didn't want the headache. They knew he had value. They wanted to get something back, and they were able to sign a younger guy at what they perceived to be a bargain rate. As far as some of the earlier comments about Rodgers, and I hope this will finally put it to bed now that some of the players have spoken about it. Of course, they're not upset about Egypt. They just spent 3 years with Zach Wilson as their quarterback, with him struggling to pass for 180 yards per game and doing a 1-for-1 touchdown to interceptions ratio. They don't care.
It's well said. It's facts.
Yeah.
Kyle, great call.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean, this team's watched Zach Wilson play for 3 years. Aaron Rodgers can do whatever the hell he wants. It's so true. It's so true. Especially when he was at 10 of the 12 total practices, more than Lamar Jackson, more than Joe Burrow. Oh, but Jake, you didn't go to the 2 that were mandatory. Who cares? If he told the Jets he had a trip and he went to the first 10, I'd rather him do that than, I don't know, only go to 2 of the 10? Because that's what some of you morons, not my listeners, but the morons that are my coworkers of mine, and you know the names I'm talking about, that's what they want you to believe. That somehow the Jets and we as Jet fans, we're dumb for not being mad at Aaron Rodgers because he missed 2 practices, right? But then they don't bring up the fact he went to 10 of the other ones. So of the 12, he was at 10. I'd rather that than him be at 2 of 12, right? Can we all agree? I'm terrible at math, all right? I'm not smart. That's why I do this. People that are good at math, God bless you. But my math tells me that the franchise quarterback going to 10 practices is greater than him only going to 2. That's better for the team for him to go to 10 than 2, right? I think that makes sense. So I'm an idiot. But by my math, my logic, that makes more sense to me. And yes, you throw in the fact that this team has watched Zach Wilson play quarterback the last 3 years. They don't care that Aaron Rodgers missed 2 days in June. It's a non-story. The story has always been Reddick, which is what I've been saying on the show from the second it happened when we knew Reddick wasn't at minicamp. More of your calls right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we heard from this guy earlier. He's back with a vengeance. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is one of the all-time great streamers in the history of YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Bob from Vermont.
Hi, everybody. This is Bob from Vermont. I am Bob, of course.
I am Bob. How's that?
Hello,
that was
Bob.
pretty stupid what I said. I'm Bob from Mama, and I'm Bob. Okay, that's.
Well, you just wanted to make sure that you clarified that Bob from Vermont is in fact Bob.
Yeah, that didn't make sense though. So Reddick, that guy brought out a good point about Reddick. He thought he was not going to play as many plays because that other guy was still on the team. What was that other guy?
John Franklin Myers, yep.
Yeah. So he thought he was going to play less. That's probably why. Then they traded that guy, and now he's playing more.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a good point?
I think it's a great point by Nick, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't know that until he told us that point. I was shocked when he said that. So I think, like you said, maybe Saturday they'll do it. They'll finish the deal.
They'll get something done.
Is it raining in New York?
No, it's sunny right now.
You sure?
Yeah, I can see outside my window.
Was when I looked on my Facebook page, they said weather threatens to disrupt Yankees and Mets series opener.
Well, right now it looks sunny.
Okay, I'm just saying what it says. I just don't want you to get.
And I see no rain in the forecast today.
Okay, well, they're wrong then. Maybe
the weather guessers, as I like to call them, were wrong.
Yeah, they go 50-50. You got good seats tonight?
They're pretty good.
Where are you sitting?
What if I don't want to disclose that information?
Oh, come on. Just tell us.
No,
First
no.
baseline, third baseline.
It's a mystery.
Oh, come on.
Let's just say I'm sitting next to a good friend of yours. Someone that you know well. You've seen his movies. You've seen him courtside at Knicks games.
Oh, no. You're bull crapping me, that one.
Me and Spike are going to the Yankee game tonight.
No. You put my leg at the Knick game. You weren't sitting next to him.
What do you mean? I literally had a picture of Spike and I at the Knick game, sitting courtside.
Yeah, that was at the beginning of the game, was it?
No, he was showing me his red Auerbach ring that he had.
So he's really going to be there, and you're going to be
Red
there?
Holtzman, excuse
so
me.
So you're going to be in the, behind home plate, maybe.
I don't know where I'm going to be. It's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
Yeah.
A mystery. How long does it take from Manhattan by train to get to Yankee Stadium?
It depends where you are specifically taking the subway from.
So where are you? How long does it take you to get to Yankee Stadium?
About 25 minutes or so.
That's not too bad. That could be worse.
Do
you know a great place to get pizza after the game?
Enlighten me.
Do you know under the train station, the upper train, the L train?
Yeah.
Okay, you go up the road, up there, walk a block, not all the way, across the street though, to the left-hand side is the great pizza place. I love it. I don't know the name of it. It's good.
Very helpful. Thank you. Now, here's my photo with Spike. You still don't believe me?
No, I do believe you. Show me that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought somebody else was the special guest. Guess who I thought it was?
Bobby, don't make me play the drop.
No, I'm not. Okay, have a good night. The Yankees are going to win.
Huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you confident?
Yes. Who's pitching for our team again?
How could you know? How could you be confident in them winning if you don't even know who's starting?
I forgot. Yesterday was Cortez.
No, yesterday was Rodon.
Rodon. I get them two mixed up.
That's racist.
Who's pitching tonight?
Luis Hill.
Uh-oh. He's not that good, but let's
go. He's been great his last two starts.
Okay, let's go, Gil. Let's kick him.
The G is actually pronounced like an H.
Oh, Hill?
Luis Hill.
Hill. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
All right, so hopefully Judge and Soto do their trick home runs.
Now, earlier you gave us a jet chant, Bobby. You want to try again? You gave too many jets in the chant last time.
Yeah, let me see.
All right.
Okay, got it.
All right, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Jets. Jets.
There's too many jets again. It's only 3 jets.
I can't.
It's Jets, and then ready? It's Jets.
Okay, I do an extra one. What's wrong with the extra one?
Well, the chant flows better with 3.
Okay, I'll do it one more time.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Jets. Jets.
Oh, you know I like the Yankees and the Jets. Can't believe Jake and Rogers met on more than just a hat on Bobby.
It's a work in progress, folks, but we're going to get there. That was much better. Good job, Bob. Great call. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is someone who knows Bobby very well. You frequently catch him on his show. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary is up next. Hello, Gary.
I just got one issue. You have
a lot of issues, but go on.
That's besides the point. I got one particular issue I wanted to bring up here. The Reddick, and I've been in and out on the show, and I haven't listened to the whole thing, but Reddick is selfish, or Reddick's it's ridiculous. Like, how many of y'all would go to work for half, right? What is he making? $14-15 million a year, and the average of the top 5 edge rushers are making 28. He's working at a 50% discount. How many of y'all would do that? And then how many of y'all are putting your health and well-being on the line to do so? I mean, it's insane. Of course he should hold out. Look, there are guys like Usyk did with Fury. Brunson just did it. Brunson's not even putting his life on the line, who are willing to do it. And I would say, if that's what you want to do, I think you're crazy, but you're entitled to do it. Just because Reddick wants a fair wage for what he produces doesn't make him selfish or a bad teammate or anything like that. It's insane to me that people think that he's being selfish of some sort because he wants a reasonable wage for what he's worth.
They're going to work something out. We just saw Amari Cooper get a $5 million incentive-laden raise today. Like, that's what it's going to end up being. They guaranteed his salary. They gave him $5 million in incentives. That's what eventually is going to happen here with Reddick.
I agree. He's got to make a deal. I mean, he's 30. He's not getting younger. He's losing $50,000 a day.
It's a lot of money.
I mean, the ball is kind of in the Jets' court. Like, they kind of have the power here. But I don't like this anti-Reddick sentiment is a little crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's fair.
That's all I got.
What do you think of Bobby's Jet chant?
It's getting better. It's getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah. By opening day, he'll have it down pat.
Yeah, we're making progress. Mike D's Nuts says still better than Allen, though, Jaco. Definitely. I mean, nothing's worse than the Allen Jet chant. You saw that, right?
Allen's my boy. It does sound like a Miami. It sounds like a Miami Dolphins fan who was lost a bet, who was forced to do it. Like, that's kind of what Allen sounds like when he's doing that chant.
Gary, good call.
Jets, 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 Jets.
Yeah, it sounds like Allen's in great pain to root for his team.
Jets, 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 Jets. Jets, Jets, Jets.
No, I'm not fully buying it. Big Fella wants to know how many memberships until the next emoji. Excellent question, Big Fella. Why don't we find out? We are making progress, that I know. I would love to tell you what type of progress, but I don't have that information handy. Give me a second. Shout out to everyone tuned in live. And if you missed the announcement at the beginning, obviously you know by now the merch store has launched, but I'm giving away free hats. I'm going to pick some winners here. All you need to do to be eligible to win a free hat, any hat in the merch store that you want, I'm going to send it to you, take care of the shipping, all that. All you need to do to have your chance to win is follow me on my social media accounts. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at Jake Asman. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at Jake Asman Show. If you follow all four, your name gets entered 4 times to potentially win. So the more accounts you follow, the more of a chance you have to win. This gives everyone a chance, even if you already followed me on Twitter or Instagram already, because I'm sure plenty of you don't follow the show accounts, which will be posting more and more content now that the season is here. So your chance to win any hat in the merch store by simply just following me on social media. That easy. Ladies and gentlemen, how many channel members are we from our next emoji? It's a question that the big fella asked. And as you can see, I'm clearly stalling right now because this won't load. I can tell you the answer is, in fact, 48 more emojis or members needed. Don't ask me where they come up with that number because yesterday it was like 37. Because memberships expire and then, it's a mess. I don't know. A couple more minutes and then we'll wrap here. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is BMAC. Hello, BMAC.
Hey, Jake. Back again.
You're always back, BMAC. What are you doing all day?
Huh? Well, I'm on vacation this week from work. So, yeah.
Is it a staycation?
Yeah. It's staycation. Yeah. So, I'm gonna be, popping in every single day. Usually when you want, I'm not usually, you know what I mean? But yeah. Shout out to Dan Graz, not Dan Graz, Dan Orlowski, man. Because he's always objective. He's not biased. You know what I mean? His whole grudges. He tweets out Rodgers' numbers his last year in Green Bay. He was saying that what people say Rodgers wasn't that great his last year, and then he tweeted out the numbers. And then Pat McAfee show, he said the same thing. You know what I mean? He put up 26 touchdowns, 3,700 yards with a broken thumb. And then the one thing is that I people always take things out of context or don't understand is that people want to say, "Oh, well, look what Jordan Love did," and I do love Jordan Love, but Jordan Love had an amazing year last year. But people want to say, "Oh, well, look what Jordan Love did with those same wide receiver core. They went to the playoffs." Those wide receiver cores were totally different. All right, Jordan Love didn't have Randall Cobb, he didn't have Allen Lazard. Rodgers, Christian Watson was hurt, missed most of the time. Dobbs was hurt, missed some time. And then the receivers that last year, Wicks and Heath and all them stuff and Jalen Reed, those were rookies. Those receivers wasn't there the year that Rodgers was there. So people usually just want to just compare the numbers and team things, but they want to take things out of context and not put things into a total.
Yeah, it's totally fair. Look, Rodgers wasn't Aaron Rodgers that you typically get in 2022. 26 touchdowns, 12 picks, quarterback rating of 92, 3,600 or 3,700 passing yards. He does that this year with the Jets. The Jets are winning at least 10 games, maybe 11 or 12, and they're in the playoffs and certainly have a chance to win the division if he does that statistically. That's the difference.
And if you look at Rodgers, 20-year career, he doesn't have like terrible seasons. Like 26 and 12 is not terrible.
No.
Yes, it's bad for his standards. You know what I mean? For Aaron Rodgers standards, but that's how great he is. Because even numbers like that, I'm gonna say, oh, he's terrible. Like Rodgers said it himself. Down years for me are career years for other quarterbacks, and it's true, especially the way people talk about it.
B-Mac, absolutely. And I'll give you the stat I've given a lot. I guess Dan Orlovsky watches this show because he has tweeted it now. The last 2 seasons, folks, the New York Jets defense, points per game, they've allowed 19 points. That includes last year and the previous year. In Aaron Rodgers' career, he has led an offense that averaged less than 20 points per game. Guess how many times? If you guess 0, you're right, because it's never happened. Every year Rodgers has been a starter, he has led an offense that has averaged at least 20 or more points per game. So based on the math, this team's going to be damn good. That's with just an average quarterback with this defense. Now, if Aaron Rodgers is top 8, like NFL executives and GMs voted him, if Aaron Rodgers is even 2022 Aaron Rodgers, where he was top 10 in yards, touchdowns, for that Packers team that's way worse than this Jets team, seems going to be really good. And I'll give you the stat I always give. In Rodgers' career, he is 80-10 when Green Bay allowed less than 20 points. He's 81-10 overall, if you want to give him week 1 last year, where he is technically 1-0. He's undefeated as the starting quarterback of the New York Jets. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now for potentially our final call is Nate. Parentheses Nate, although I did notice he dropped the parentheses. Hello, Nate.
Good afternoon, Jake. How are you? I'll be quick. I know you got to get to the game. Couple quick points on Hassan. So you made me think about this earlier with your stream. I compare him kind of to, I think people have like Brian Burns, like a speed rusher, or who's another guy his side, like a Leonard Floyd or someone like that, or Josh Allen in Jacksonville. Those guys all just got, or at least those two, Josh Allen and Burns, got major contracts. The thing is, those contracts end when they're 30 years old. I don't think the Giants are going to re-sign Brian Burns for max money after that contract. He just signed a deal right now. He's 26, and so is the Jaguars pass rusher, is 26 years old. The guy we have is 30, turning 31, coming up week 3. And I made the point earlier, I just wanted to compare it to a basketball scenario, like Ray Allen and 3-point shooters, how their games can translate, but a guy like Blake Griffin with his athleticism really doesn't. And I wanted to ask you, can you think of any other speed rushers whose games translate into their 30s? Like, I know there's the Strahans of the world and Bosa and Freeney. Like, obviously those guys can play into their 30s and they do everything they do so dominantly. But do you see a guy who's 230 pounds really impacting the game? I remember Shaq Barrett in 2019 had 19 and a half sacks and 10. Like, he had some double-digit years. And then after 30, he fell off because, like, when you lose a step and you lose that athleticism as a speed pass rusher, are you able to impact the game that much? And we all agree if he can't rush the passer at an elite level, he's not worth the money. So I agree with that. Joe just needs to stand the line and pay him for this year. But I don't want him as a 32 or 33-year-old pass rusher looking at past history of speed rushers at 230, 240 pounds.
Yeah, it's fair. I would simply say, I think that's their plan all along, right? Give them some more money this year, and then it's a wait and see beyond this year. I think that's what they want to do. And I think that's what they are going to end up doing.
Well, I guess I just hope that's the case. I hope everything works out. Give him as much money as he deserves. But I know Nick is from Philly and he's a Philly guy, so he has to defend him and he deserves all this money. I get it. But like, Hassan should have been holding out last year. We don't need to pay him for what he did for the Eagles the last 4 years. He
I
has
think he
0
did
sacks.
last. I don't know if he held out, but he wanted the new deal last year and then he didn't get it. I think.
Well, he should have. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like now it's too late. You're with a new team and you're 30, 31. We're not giving you 3 or 4 years. So we're going to give you 1 year, and we're going to hopefully get an angry, pissed off Hassan. He can hate our franchise. I don't care. Go get 15 sacks then and get your money because he's going to need to do that. If he falls to 8 sacks this year, he's not going to get paid. And obviously, Joe Douglas is pretty good at negotiating, and he's pretty stingy in general with contracts. But I obviously think there's some negotiating going on here if he didn't show up. And like you said, this doesn't happen a lot for someone to trade for a pass rusher or trade for anyone and have the contract not work out. Like we're over a month after the trade and we're still sitting here. So I think something's happening behind the scenes. Unfortunately, we don't know all the information, but I don't want to pass this year looking at speed rushers.
Fair. Yeah. Good call, Nate. Way to wrap us up there. I'm with you. Now, if they gave him another year, I think Hassan Reddick is still going to be very good beyond this year. But I think the Jets' plan all along is to wait and see how this year goes. And if they let him go, they can recoup the comp pick. Basically, recoup the pick they gave up in 2026 for Reddick. I think that's part of the plan here. He's a hired gun. A damn good one, though. Let's not forget that. Ladies and gentlemen, merch store is live. JakeAsman.com. If you're a Patreon member, 15% off on every item. That's included in your membership. So if you join the Patreon, you basically get it for free if you plan on buying merch. Because with that discount you save on the merch, you basically covered your Patreon membership. It's that easy. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. RSVP to either our watch party in Jersey on August 7th or actually, this is a meetup. This is the watch party at T-Squared Social on August 17th. So there you go. I want to thank everyone out there who tuned in to this show, the first show, or this morning on ESPN New York. I did the morning show with Dave Rothenberg, so the feedback from that has been great. I'm off to the Bronx. Let's go Yankees. I will talk to you guys soon. JETS, 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 Jets. It was Garrett Wilson's birthday yesterday, so we'll play this in honor of Garrett. Have a good one, everybody.
The Jets are going to come back. No, they're not. They're never going to come back. They're never going to come back.
I do love that about Jets fans, you know what I mean? They care so damn much. And this has been a shit season, for sure. But we will be back. Hell yeah.
I'm back right now. Super chat from Mike D's Nuts at the buzzer. Jake, my order shipped. Thank you, my friend. Much appreciated. Thank you, Mike D's Nuts. Thank you. Appreciate you. Shout out to everyone who ordered merch. I'm off to the Bronx. Let's go Yankees.